This is really sad, and I think that to a point, the sentence is a little bit exaggerated, and I'm going to get to it. Hi everyone, it's your girl, I'm back. And I found out this breaking news story around about 12 o'clock, but I had to take a quick nap because it's hot in New York right now. So, for those of you who don't know, Brittney Griner was sentenced today in Russia for smuggling cannabis. And, she got some lengthy time. So, it reads, according to the New York Post, Brittney Griner sentenced to 9 years for cannabis possession, smuggling in Russia. WNBA star Brittney Griner was convicted Thursday in Russia of cannabis possession and sentenced to 9 years in prison. Despite her insistence that she made an honest mistake and her tearful pleas for mercy, standing in a cage reserved for defendants at the Khimki court outside Moscow, Griner, 31, remained stone-faced upon hearing the verdict. As part of the punishment phase, Griner also will be required to pay a $16,300 fine. Asked if she understood the sentence, Griner replied in English, "Yes, I understand, Your Honor." Later, she was being led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. Griner told a gaggle of reporters, "I love my family." Minutes after sentencing, the White House released a statement on behalf of President Biden condemning the outcome of Griner's drug trial. Today, American citizen Brittney Griner received a prison sentence that is one more reminder of what the world already knew. Russia is wrongfully detaining Brittney. The statement read, "It's unacceptable, and I call on Russia to release her immediately so that she can be with her wife, loved ones, friends, and teammates." Biden vowed to work tirelessly to pursue every possible avenue to bring Griner and American Paul Whelan, who is also jailed in Russia, home as soon as possible. Speaking outside the courthouse, Griner's Russian legal team said they have not been contacted about efforts to facilitate a prisoner exchange. Maybe we'll hear something. I don't know. It has not been discussed with us. Attorney Maria Blagovolina said. Griner's lawyer said that her client's mood following the verdict was bad, and she was feeling disheartened. She said they were very surprised by the verdict and plan to appeal the case. "We certainly believe this sentencing does not match the act that was committed," Blagovolina said. "Moreover, it goes completely against legal precedent related to the statute, taking into consideration the quantity of cannabis and Griner's admission of guilt." She added, "We are definitely going to appeal. We certainly disagree. Are surprised and disappointed with the Khimki court's ruling today." Earlier at Thursday's hearing, Griner, with her voice quivering, acknowledged her mistake and pleaded for leniency. "I want the court to understand that this was an honest mistake that I made while rushing under stress, trying to recover from COVID, and just trying to get back to my team," Griner said, referring to her packing vape cartridges in her luggage on her way to Russia in February. "I know everybody keeps talking about political pawn and politics, but I hope this is far from this courtroom." She continued, "I made an honest mistake, and I hope that in your ruling that it doesn't end my life here." Griner, who pleaded guilty to the charges, says she did not intend to break Russian law and that her parents had taught her to take ownership of her errors. In the course of her trial, Griner testified that she inadvertently placed cannabis cartridges into her bag while stress packing for her trip to Russia, where she was contracted to play basketball for a local team during the WNBA's off-season. The two-time Olympic champion insisted that she did not plan to bring the vape cartridges containing 0.7 grams of cannabis oil to Russia or use them there because she was aware of local drug laws. Lawyers for the Phoenix Mercury Center have presented character witnesses from the Russian team and written testimony from a doctor who said she prescribed her cannabis for pain and treatment. Defense attorney Maria Blagovolina claimed that Griner brought the cartridges with her to Russia inadvertently and only used the cannabis as medicine, and only while in Arizona, where medical marijuana is legal. A prosecutor, Nikolai Blasenko, argued that Griner packed the cannabis oil deliberately. Griner's lawyers, Blacko Volnina, did not rule out the possibility of petitioning for clemency if Griner's appeal attempts fail, saying, "We'll do everything possible to get her freed. She certainly does not deserve 9 years." Griner on Thursday passed through her attorneys a private message to her family in the U.S., which was not shared with the media. The family wants her to come home. Blacko Volnina, her attorney, said, "Everyone is waiting for her." Her guilty verdict and 9-year sentence were met with universal condemnation in American diplomatic and government circles. Elizabeth Rood, deputy chief of mission at the U.S. Embassy in Moscow, who followed Griner's trial and attended the hearing on Thursday, delivered a statement outside the Kempke courthouse in which she called the WNBA star sentencing a miscarriage of justice. The U.S. Department of State has determined that Ms. Griner was wrongfully detained. Rood said, "Nothing in today's decision changes determination." She added that Secretary of State Antony Blinken, President Biden, and the entire American government remain committed to bringing Ms. Griner home safely to her family, friends, and loved ones. Blinken, who was attending the Association of Southeast Asian Nations gala dinner in Cambodia when the verdict was announced in Russia, released a statement saying that Griner sentencing compounds the injustices of her wrongful detention. White House National Secretary spokesperson John Kirby said in an interview with MSNBC that Blinken will likely try to speak about Griner with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov on the sidelines of the meeting in Cambodia. "I have no doubt that if he has an opportunity to butthole Mr. Lavrov, he will do so. And if he doesn't just happen organically, I'm sure Secretary Blinken will reach out and have that communication," Kirby said. Russian officials have scoffed at U.S. statements about the case, saying they've shown disrespect for Russian law. They remain poker-faced, urging Washington to discuss the issue through quiet diplomacy without releases of speculative information. Before Griner's trial began in July, the State Department designated her as wrongfully detained, moving her case under the supervision of its special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, effectively the government's chief hostage negotiator. Then last week, in an extraordinary move, Blinken spoke to the Russian counterpart, Lavrov, urging him to accept a deal under which Griner and Whelan would be traded for Victor Bout, a jailed arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre told reporters Monday that Russia has made a bad faith response to the U.S. government's counter-offer that American officials don't regard as serious. She declined to elaborate. And I'm going to say something, though. I actually agree with this administration. She should not be there. She should not. Brittney should be at home with her family. She should be preparing. She should be playing for the season and for the Phoenix Mercury. And more important, just, if anything, she should have just had to pay a fine, and that was all. But here's the problem in all of this. The problem in all of this is that she's American. She is a woman. She's an entertainer, and she's a woman. She's an entertainer. She's a lesbian. She's black, and she's an American. And Russia right now don't like us. So all those things went against her. Had she just been a man, a white man, they probably would have given her, I would say, 3 years. But they slapped that, and that was too extensive. 9 years, okay. A year prison, okay, fair. A year and a fine, fine. But 9 years for smuggling cannabis? You gotta be kidding me. And the cannabis, it wasn't enough to sell. It didn't even seem like it was enough for her to basically last like a whole, the whole time she was going to play in Russia. That is cruel. But I'm going to tell you what the problem is. The problem also is that these WNBA players shouldn't have to play overseas in the off seasons of their sport in America. The men who play in the WNBA should speak up for them because they're only going over there to make up their income. Brittney Griner only makes about $1 million a year. Now, for people like us, we think that's a lot of money. It's not. They're being underpaid. If you look at the men in the NBA, they're getting paid anywhere from like $5 million a year to like $300 million, might be now $400 million. Brittney Griner is a 4-time WNBA champion. Plus, she's an Olympic gold medalist. Why is she only getting that money and she has to go overseas to play to supplement her income for the rest of the year? Remember, the $1 million is not just, tax deducted. They have to pay their sports agents. They have to pay their attorneys. They have to pay managers. And they're left with from like 100% of their salary down to, if they're lucky, 50%. Or sometimes less than that. So they go overseas to play to make up for the income. So she probably would have been making this year maybe $2 million. And they don't get endorsements like the NBA. And yeah, they may not play that well, but would you put all your hard-earned money, not your hard-earned money, would you put your heart and soul into something if you're only getting coins and your male counterparts are getting dollar bills? If you compare their salaries to the men, they're getting coins. And that's the big problem. The big problem is they shouldn't have to go there. It should be a want, but not a necessity. Because the average WNBA player literally only makes $100K a year, which we think is a lot. But break down taxes, sports agents, managers, lawyers, that's only really $40,000 a year. It's nothing. They're not getting anything. So they have to play overseas. And they shouldn't have to. And I think with this whole thing with Brittney Griner, they're finally going to realize they have to pay them better. And that's the big issue. But I think the NBA needs to take a stand and speak up about that. And with that being said, I'm signing off. Thank you for tuning in, listening. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And if you're in a hot climate, stay cool. Drink a lot of water and Gatorade.